if you always struggle in passing algebra in mathematics, or in general you have issues with mathematics, this video is for you, right? So way back when I was in let's say grade school, right? So in grade school, and that's where some people may call it the primary in different parts of the world, and then maybe to a high school here. I was very good in mathematics, especially algebra, until I get to the university, right? The university before I started struggle with mathematics, or maybe not mathematics in general, but specifically algebra. Is that okay? Now, the reason why I struggle wasn't because I was not learning. It's as a result of another factors, right? So whatever the situation may be, this is for you. Once you have issues with mathematics or algebra, you are not alone. Is that okay? So now the key here is that you must understand the meaning of the word algebra. So if I say that this is a whiteboard marker, you can easily identify this thing by its image, right? So if we say algebra in mathematics, what does it mean? That is the key thing here. Now a simple definition to this thing is that we always find the value of something that is missing, right? So now bringing that down here, if I say x is equal to, let's say before we get to the x, let's say price of phone, right? So price of anything that you can think of. So price of this phone here is going to be equal to an amount. So this is the currency that we are using here. So whatever you are watching this from, you may change to your country so currency. Let's say $500, right? Now what will happen if you replace this price of the phone here by what x? So x is going to be what? $500, right? That is very simple. Now coming down here, what will happen if I say x plus what? 25 here should be equal to $500, right? So this is where the algebra comes in, right? So this is exactly where the algebra is needed. So you need to calculate the values of you see, this is where the algebra starts, right? So you need to calculate the values of this x here in order to determine the amount that you pay for the phone, right? So we are saying that the price of this x here is the price of the phone, right? So the x is standing for the price of the phone. Now this $25 here, right? So let's bring the dollar sign here. So $25 here can be amount the shop or the company is giving to you after you buy the phone here, and then everything you are going to pay $25, right? Is that okay? So assuming this is what the company is giving, so how can you determine the price of this 25 for the price of the phone here, right? So the price of the phone is what we are looking for. So how do you do that? So in doing that calculation, you must understand what to do and how to use it. So what I mean by that, you have to obey the rules here, right? So the rules is very most important thing where you are buying the thing from. So you buying from this particular shop here, right? So this is the first shop here, may not be the same thing that let's say this is a shop one, so it's going to be different if you want to buy in the second shop two, right? They are not the same. So that is why you need to pay attention. So what I mean by that, here we are dealing with a numbers that is 25 and then 500. They are whole numbers. That is why we call them in mathematics. So this thing is a whole number. So moving to the second shop here, you may not get a whole number there, right? So the rule that you are applying here may not be the same rule that you are going to apply in the second shop. Is that okay? So that is the simple meaning of what algebra here. So make sure that you stay here to the end. So if you have any questions along, try and comment in the comment section below. Now since you have a very simple and clear understanding of what algebra is, now we are going to discuss about the mindset behind the algebra, and then as well as how to study the algebra, and then the tricks that you need in tackle most of the questions on the algebra. The mindset behind the algebra here is what I explained earlier on, but many people are of the view that algebra is very difficult, right? So that is the general, or maybe mathematics in general is very difficult. which may not be the case or may be the case depending on your understanding of what the mathematics. The whole concept here comes down, maybe I may say that this is a fallacy, right? So something a fallacy, so that is an English word, right? So what it means here that a false statement that people believe to be true. So in general, some of us were born with the idea in mind that mathematics in general is very, very difficult to tackle. That is what we believe in. But some also, so this is for you. Are you trying to say that there's no single person on the earth that understands mathematics very well, right? That is what we are trying to say. Is that okay? But there's someone, there exists someone who is very good in mathematics. Now the whole key here is that you need it, right? So you need it, right? You need the algebra in order to escalate, right? So in order to move up, is that okay? You just need to the algebra to level, right? To level up. Maybe you need to pass your algebra class or the test here in order to move forward to the next level. So what are you going to do? Are you going to jump? Are you going to do what? You don't have any option here than what? To practice, right? Than to learn it. That is the only option. So if you change your mindset that the thing is difficult, whether rain or shine, until death you must pass your algebra class in order to move forward. I don't know what you need the algebra to do. Maybe to move to the next level of education, to secure a job, to do something of that nature. Once you need it, you must change your mentality that the algebra is difficult. The moment you change your mentality that the algebra is very easy, or you pass the algebra by all means, then you are going to have a strong background and a mindset that the algebra is going to be very easy for you to understand, right? So that is what the mindset behind the algebra is, right? So once you have that mindset, you can easily move forward in tackling any problems that comes your way under algebra. Now the next one is, how do you study the algebra, right? How do you study the algebra? There's no magic in studying algebra here, right? There's no straightforward, or there's no trick, there's no any extraordinary method for you to learn the algebra here than you to know exactly. So the first thing you must know is that know where you are, right? So know where you are. Is that okay? So know where you are. So what I mean by that is what you have to know exactly the people that you are dealing with. So way back from what the first scenario that I gave you. So let's say in the shop, the first shop here and then the second shop here, what we are doing here is not going to be the same thing that you are doing here, right? So if you are changing this shop to what? A country. So assuming that we change this shop to a country, so this is our first country here. So and then this is the second country here. You can see that there are different types of rules that is governing what every country, right? So maybe in this country, the first country, it may be the case that people in this country, right? People in this country don't drive, not drive. I mean, drive a vehicle, a car, right? They don't drive after what? After, let's say, after 6 o'clock p.m., right? You cannot drive outside or on the street after what? 6 o'clock p.m. Now these people may easily drive after what or maybe after 6, right? So after 6 they can still keep on driving, right, till daybreak, right? So till daybreak. So after 6, right, they can still drive, right? So they can still drive. That is what we are trying to understand here. Now the key here is that this country, since they cannot drive after what? After 6 p.m., but these people can drive after what? 6 p.m., right? The key here is that you cannot apply the law that you are going to apply here. You cannot apply the same law in this country. Now bringing that to mathematics, specifically on the algebra, what I'm trying to say here is that if you have a question that goes like this, say x minus 1 equal to 3, right? And then we have something that goes like 2x, let's say 1 on 2x, right? So 1 half of x and then minus 1 equal to 3, right? So what the method that you are going to use to solve this one here is not going to be the same method that you are going to use to solve this. right? Why? The why here is that the people here are different from the people that we are dealing with in this option. Is that okay? So here you have x minus 1, that is equal to 3, and then we have 1 on 2x minus 1 equal to 3. So how do you solve that? That is why I said that you must know exactly where you are and then apply the law that is governing the people within that community or that country or in that shop, right? So how do you solve this thing? Now, the whole idea about the algebra is that you are giving everything in general. So, assuming this is the phone, right? So, the price of the phone here, the x is what the price of the phone. The reason we are using x here is that you can replace this thing by any item of your own choice, right? So that is the common letter in mathematics that we use to represent something that we don't know. Now the whole equation here says that if you can buy that phone and then we deduct just a value of 1, so that can be $1, £1, €1, one, and so on, the country in which we are watching this from, we deduct that from the price of the phone, then we are going to pay just what, $3. So let's limit to what, the dollar. So we are going to pay what, $3. So the question is, what is the price of what, the phone here? So how do you do that? So you are giving the whole equation, so you need to work backwards, right? So you need to work backwards, right? You need to work with backwards in order to determine the price of the phone. Is that okay? So how do you do that? You must apply the, how did you get it? So this guy here must vanish before you can easily determine the price of it. So this guy is subtracting. That is where the rule here. So that brings us to the second point here. So the second point after this one, you must so number 2 here, you must know the rules, right? Know what? You must know the rules. Is that okay? You must know the rules and how to apply that. So the rules is that this guy here is by what? A subtraction, right? Subtraction. This sign here, the sign in front of this guy here, is exactly what belongs to this number here. So by subtraction. So for you to vanish, we are working backwards. Remember, in order to determine the price of the phone here. So for you to vanish in this portion here, that is where you have to do the reverse way. Right, so let's say you walk to your let's say you are here, right? So assuming you are here and then you walk to your college here. Is that okay? So you go to the college, right? So for you to get back to where you start, let's say your home, you have to go back, right? Is that okay? So you have to return. So you have to return from the college to your home. Okay, by the way, if you are gaining some value from this video, why don't you give us a thumbs up and then subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Right, so you need to go back to go back to your destination. So you going back means that you are walking backwards, or you are returning. So that is how the algebra came to existence, by saying that you have to reverse this guy here. So what will happen is that you have to just take the opposite of what is happening at the initial stage here. So exactly what we are seeing here, what will be the opposite of this guy here. So negative on the opposite of the negative in mathematics, that's what we call addition, right? So addition. So you have to add 1 here, and then you add 1 to this side here. So in order not to change the nature of the equation, right? So here we are going to have so negative 1 plus 1, that's going to be 0, right? So you have the answer to be equal to okay, let's say plus 0, then equal to what will happen, then we are going to have 4, right? So x plus 0 here is same as the x here, and that's going to be 4. So you can easily say that the price of the phone here is just $4, right? Very, very simple. Now bring it down to this particular portion here. So this will be the second country, or maybe the second shop, and so on and so forth, right? So the method that we use here, we cannot straightforward apply that in this shop here, because every country has their own way of doing things. Now this guy here is a fraction, right? So a fraction, 1 on what, this is what we are calling a fraction. By the way, if you don't know what a fraction is, so 1 on 2 here is something on something, is what we are calling a fraction. So what is the rule here? You know where, now that you know where you are, that the people here, there's one guy here by a fraction. What is the rule here? The rule here says that if we have a fraction in this way, you need to find something that we call the least common multiple. Have you seen? That is why you need to know every rule that is governing every people in their respective location. So this is what we call the least common multiple. So how do you find the least common multiple? Is that okay? So once you know the rule and how to apply them, everything will become very, very easy for you to move on. If you don't know how to find the least common multiple of any fraction, is this is what we have. The guy at the down here, we call it a denominator, that is 2 here. We assume that this is over 1 and then this is over 1 because every number divided by 1 is the same thing. When I give you $3 and then go and share that to among only one person, the person takes all, right? That is why we say that every number divided by 1 is the same number. So the least common multiple among the numbers at the down here is what we are looking for. So the multiples of 2 here, that will be 2, 4, and then 6, and so on and so forth. What about the multiples of this one here? Is just going to be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then this guy will be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So the least common multiple among all these people here is just going to be what? To be 2. So using that 2 to multiply everything here. So the question is, why are we multiplying everything? And I will explain that in just a second. So using the 2 to multiply the first guy here, we have 2 multiplied by 1 on 2x minus 2 multiplied by -1. Remember to put a negative in bracket to avoid any mistake. And then 2 multiplied by 3, the last person here. So you can see that this 2 will cancel this guy out. So here we are just going to have 1s, which is s. And then this multiplied by that tends to be a positive. That is one thing you must also know, that negative multiplied by another negative tends to be a positive. So we have 2 here. So this guy is going to be 6, right? So this is the reason why we are multiplying by what? The denominator here, the least common multiple among all these 3 guys here, right? So in order to arrive at something like this that we've already solved in the first shop or in the first country, so we know how to solve something like this. So you must always convert the fraction here to something we already know, right? So in the way of solving this, here we have the x, so we are looking for the s. So you can see that this guy here, you see on the left hand side, anybody that is worrying the x must vanish. So this guy is what? A warrior here. So this guy must go away. So how did you get here? You get here by what? Addition. So for you to go away, you must take the inverse of that, the reverse of how you came here. So that's going to be subtraction. So you subtract 2 from both sides of the equation. So you have here to be s equal to 6 minus 2, right? So if you have any question, make sure that you just comment in the comment section. So you have the values of the x here to also be equal to 4, right? So this 4 and the first 4 in the first part of the question has nothing to do in common, right? So you need to obey the step one by one and arrive at exactly how you get your final answer. Now this is just the basic understandings of algebra in the high school, or maybe the basic or the grade level. So what will happen if you go to an advanced level, right? So in advanced level, this is questions like this. Let me try and generate one question. So way back here in advanced level, assuming we say that let's say x is an odd, s is an odd, or let's say odd number, right? So s is an odd number. So we want to also show that s plus 1 is what? Odd number, right? Yeah, so odd number. Okay, so let's say this is a very simple for demonstration or understanding purpose here. Now the key here is that you must once again know exactly where this x is coming from. So where is the x coming from in this portion here? So s is coming from what? An odd number. That is the family of x. So now you must ask yourself, so how do you write an odd number? So if you say someone is odd in mathematics, or someone is odd in one family or in one country or in one shop, what does the person look like? So that is where the definition. So you must know the definitions of what? Odd. If you say something is odd, right? So if you say x is odd here, right, it means that s is going to be equal to a plus 1. This is all the definitions of what? Odd number, right? So the definition, if you say something is odd, this is how you write it. Is that okay? So what about this a here? So you must know that there's another guy here. So a here is coming from, so this is the notation. So a here is a member of would that be an integer? So let's say this is how you write the integer, assuming, right? And then the a is just coming from an integer. So if this guy is also an odd number, so how do you prove that? right? So how do you prove that? It means that we have s plus 1 here. That's good, just for understanding purpose. So if you have any issues with this video here, just make sure that you comment in the comment section below for a better, or we will make a full list on how to deal with questions separately under algebra. So we know that this guy here is going to be, this x here is like this, so that is going to be a plus 1, right? So just for the x, right? And then plus 1 here, s plus 1 here. Now we know that the definitions of all these here, so going to be something plus 1. So that's something plus 1 here. What will happen if you replace everything here, this guy here by b? So we are going to replace that by b, everything here by b, right? So I will say that this x plus 1 also looks like what? An odd number. Is that okay? This is just the basic way we are telling you to deal with what? Algebra in mathematics. So if you have any problem, don't hesitate to reach us in the comment section for help. Now if you gain some value from this video, once again make sure that you give us a thumbs up for more lessons like this. Now once we are done on how to study algebra in this case here, so what will be the trick here? Right, there's no trick more than you to practice some of the questions here. Is that okay? There's no trick than for you to practice, right? So you have to practice some of the questions more, right? So in order to overcome some of the minor challenges that you get when you have a test to write, or if you have any issues with any particular person. So if you gain nothing from this video in tackling algebra questions, you must know one, where you are, the numbers that we are dealing with, and then two, the rules that is governing them in order to apply the method in solving every question step by step. So thank you for watching this.